Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm Phil Fisher. Thank you for coming to this session. I am the founder of the R.E.A.C.H Consortium, the Renewable Energy Academic Collaboration Hub. We are honored to be hosted at the Garvin Center at IIT in launching this worldwide consortium of academic institutions, renewable energy corporations, and governments around the world. I'd like to give a special thanks to Dr. Shahidehpour for inviting us and hosting us at the Garvin Center. The R.E.A.C.H Consortium is designed to capture the greatest minds, the latest technology, financial resources, global insights, provide testing grounds, education and training for workforce development and sustainable jobs creation in university campuses and colleges and academic institutions around the world, and to provide a vehicle, a hub, through which all of these academic institutions can collaborate. We have found that the circumstances of individuals in various different parts of the world are unique to their unique circumstances. That is to say that energy is essential to everyone. That's a given. But we in America are used to having regular power, with the exception of the occasional power outage or power surge, some catastrophe, or some kind of weather challenge. And we have begun to work with various universities that have experienced all kinds of challenges that we just are not accustomed to, and we just didn't know existed on an ongoing basis. There are people that we communicate with that have the highest cost of power in the world, or amongst the highest cost of power in the world, throughout the Caribbean region and the various academic institutions there. There are academic institutions in parts of Africa that simply have no power at all. And there are other parts of the world that have intermittent power. So we decided to create a collaboration that would enable us to share both challenges and solutions that deal with developing countries or flourishing countries, that focuses on all of the kinds of challenges that may affect anyone that has a need for power and how it affects our academic institutions. We believe that through these academic institutions, we can not only create secure, cost-efficient power and renewable energy power for the institutions, but from that platform, we can expand throughout the entire country wherever we would collaborate. So we are extremely excited to be able to create this collaboration. I would like to ask our Vice President of International Affairs, Dr. G. Avi Arrington, to just cite a few of our excited academic institutions who have shown interest already before we even launched in joining the consortium and collaborating on this mission. Dr. Arrington.
Thank you, Phil Fisher. And thank you for coming and being a part of this great launching. We're very excited about it. And these are just some of the institutions that we're already talking to and are excited as well. The American College and University President's Climate Commitment, which represents 684 members. The Ames National Laboratory, Ames, Iowa. The California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, California. The Carnegie Mellon University, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Columbia University, New York, New York. Cornell University at Itasca, New York. Delft University of Technology in Holland, the Netherlands. The École Polytechnique in Paris. École Polytechnique in Switzerland. And Eindhoven University of Technology in Eindhoven, Netherlands. Purdue College of Engineering, Lafayette, Indiana. The Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich, Switzerland. The University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland. Clark College of Engineering. University of Melbourne. University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. University of Pennsylvania. University of Southern California, Los Angeles. University of Sydney, Australia. And in other international destinations on the African continent, the University of Kwango Kubanga in southern Angola, as well as Bell South University in Democratic Republic of the Congo. Certainly, we would be remiss if we didn't mention University of West Indies, represented by Consul Hyde today for Jamaica, as well as a number of other interested universities and institutions. So we look forward to this, and it's very exciting. We spoke with South Africa as well as the Bahamas this morning. Although they couldn't be here, they were happy to say that they look forward to the R.E.A.C.H academic collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arrington. Before R.E.A.C.H was conceptualized, we began an academic collaboration with the University of the Virgin Islands. And I'd like, if Dr. Shahidehpour would please come and share a little bit about that project and our academic collaboration there. Dr. Shahidehpour, please.
Yeah, I'm very delighted to be part of this team. As you know, I'm a professor at IIT, but as part of my faculty job, I wear several hats. So my newest hat is to be part of this initiative, R.E.A.C.H, which I'm really, really proud of. We started a project in conjunction with very own energy, as Steve Johans was pointing out this morning, which is located in Virgin Island, University of Virgin Island. And the plan is to build a microgrid at that location in order to reduce the cost. As you know, the cost of energy in places like Virgin Island is significantly high. It's over 50 cents a kilowatt hour. Here in Illinois and in Midwest, you pay less than 10 cents, and many people still complain about the price of energy. Imagine what would be the case if you pay 53 cents for your energy. And unfortunately, it's happening to some parts of the world where people really don't have money to spend on energy. So I think the intention that R.E.A.C.H has, and I'm very proud to be part of it, as I pointed out, is to approach various foundations, funding agencies, industry members, individuals who are so interested in helping us to go to different locations in the world, some in the United States, mostly in Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and places where people don't have energy. I have come from places where at night the kids would have to go to the street to do their homework because there is no lighting at home. So they have to use the street light to do their homework. And we're talking about the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen, so this has to change. So anything that we can do in that respect, or anything you can do to help us in that respect, would be really wonderful. As you see, we've got politicians, university people, industry, all representing our efforts, and we believe that this business is going to grow. So our intention is to come up with a very large group of people, all non-for-profit effort, and to approach individuals, entities, countries, locations where people do need a lot of energy, energy that they don't have, and start coming up with ways of making their lives much more exciting. We are already approaching number of private agencies and Gates Foundation, Clinton Foundation, places where people do really care about the global health and global initiatives. And hopefully, next gathering, we will report more on what we are doing. Thanks.
Thank you. Mohammad Shahidehpour is, amongst his many hats, taking on the role of Vice President of Academic Collaboration for the R.E.A.C.H Consortium, and we're honored to have him as a co-founder of the organization. Next, I would like to ask Honorary Consul Lloyd Hyde to please come and address the audience about your work in Jamaica. Consul.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Congressman, ladies and gentlemen, there is no place that I'd rather be this afternoon than right here at I.E.T.E. in this hall with you. I certainly thank Dr. Arrington for inviting me and to let me participate. I'm here with my wife, Beach, and as I said, although we are on our way to another engagement, there is really no place that we would rather be than here this afternoon. And anywhere there is anything spoken about renewable energy, I want to be there. And the fact that the gentleman who spoke before me spoke of the cost of energy. You don't need me to tell you that Jamaica is ready and waiting for renewable energy situations. Because in Jamaica, I think here in the United States, and particularly in Chicago, if the Commonwealth Edison people are here this afternoon, we pay perhaps about 10 cents per kilowatt hour for energy. In Jamaica, ladies and gentlemen, we're paying upwards to 50 cents per kilowatt hour. And we need to see a change in that arena. So Dr. Arrington and your colleagues, I certainly thank you for your innovativeness. And just remember that the University of the West Indies stands ready to be a partner with you. I think I heard someone spoke of collaboration, and I like to think that the University of the West Indies in Kingston, in Mona, Jamaica, should be here. I heard Dr. Arrington said, well, Lloyd Hyde is here, the Honorary Consul for Jamaica is here. But I wish Dr. Arrington, some member of the faculty of the University of the West Indies is present here today. And I'm going to make sure that in your next conference or whatever you might gather to do here as a part of this R.E.A.C.H program, that the University of the West Indies will be represented here. I was told that I was to speak for 3 minutes, and I don't want to outdo my welcome here because I'd like to come back, but I want to let you know that I salute your innovativeness, and I join you in a spirit of partnership and progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. There are a number of, well, there are the entire list of academic institutions that Dr. Arrington read would have all loved to have been here. And we hope that they can all be with us on our next session. However, I would like to recognize those who are here from the University of the Virgin Islands. If you would please stand. We want to particularly thank them for Miss Courtney Mays is the energy manager for the University of the Virgin Islands, and Dr. Wayne Archibald is the director of the Caribbean Green Technology Center at the University of the Virgin Islands. And we want to thank them for the blessing that the project that we have with them has given us to inspire this entire global organization, because their need was so great, and we came together to develop solutions for them and to develop what will be a microgrid installation on 2 campuses, both St. Croix and St. Thomas, of 3 megawatts of power, solar energy, with battery storage, that will be the most advanced technologically structured solar installation of any university in the Caribbean, and one of the most advanced with battery storage of any university in the nation, or the largest, one of the largest in the nation. So I want to thank them for their challenges that inspired us to launch this entire organization. Next, I would like to ask a very special guest to come to the podium, a man that I have loved and grown to follow and be inspired by for 30 years. I had the great fortune of working with this gentleman under my tenure with Mayor Harold Washington here in the city of Chicago, and much of the groundwork that was done here was laid by the next speaker, Congressman Danny Davis.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and let me first of all thank not only Mr. Phil Fisher for his academic prowess, but I also want to commend him for his creativity and vision. You know, the Bible says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And there are many individuals who have thoughts and ideas, but don't necessarily have the vision to make those thoughts and ideas come into fruition. And I would ask that we just give him another round of applause for his leadership. I also want to commend the Illinois Institute of Technology for the tremendous impact and influence that it has had in the Chicago metropolitan area, as well as throughout the country, and as we can now see internationally. We often joke about institutions in our city, and I think I have the good fortune to represent the most of them. but I always get the little end of IIT. But then they've got the law school downtown, the Kent College of Law, and so that's mine. I mean, that's without a doubt. This campus, Congressman Bobby Rush and I have always kind of intersected and interacted, and both of us have represented bits and pieces of it, but Bobby has always represented the most. So let me commend IIT for its tremendous academic leadership and all that it means to all of us who know about it and what it has done. I'm always impressed whenever I come into a place and see some of my favorite faith leaders. And so I get the opportunity to say hello to Reverend T.L. Barrett and to acknowledge the tremendous work that he and his son, Reverend Barrett in one sense, his son in another sense, and they're located right down the street. And I want to just simply acknowledge the tremendous work that they both have done, Reverend Barrett and Tory Barrett. You know, sitting here with all of these distinguished scientists and see all of the distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience, people from the Virgin Islands, where I hope that my classmate and seatmate and longtime friend Donna Christensen is going to be the governor after November. And so it's excited to know that there are people from the Virgin Islands who are here. Being here with all of these individuals makes me reminded of my father, who was a man of great faith and belief and thought that he could accomplish anything in the world and that he could do anything in the world. I sometimes tell a story about how he amputated a calf's leg one time and never had any veterinary training, never in his life. And the calf lived, and we took it to the auction ultimately and sold it for $175 and got money. Well, my dad had believed that he could just do whatever. And I remember one year he decided to put his mule in the Kentucky Derby. And like a good father, he would let me trail along with him, behind him, and we got to Louisville. And he asked the gentleman that we encountered, "Is this where you register for the Derby?" The gentleman said, "Well, yes it is, but what can I do for you?" And my father says, "Well, I want to register my mule." The gentleman said to my daddy, said, "Now, please, sir, don't accuse me of being prejudiced and having any kind of racial feelings." Said, "But this is a race for thoroughbreds, and we just generally don't let mules in here. And if we did, don't you know that he couldn't possibly win?" My daddy said, "Well, I think he'd have a hard time." Said, "But I just want him to know what it feels like to be in such good company. And being here with all of you helps me, a mere mule, a layman in scientific terms, what it feels like to be in such good company." And I want to commend all of you for being here and making this conference what it is. You know, when I hear of consortiums and when I hear of coming together, when I hear community, to me it means coming together in unity, the unification of great thoughts, great ideas, great minds, none that could be so great alone as they become when you put them together. When you put great minds together, then you do things like create atom bombs and hydrogen bombs. You create canals that did not exist. You create weapons that nobody thought we'd ever be able to use. And you create sources of power that is simply amazing. I mean, I have seen technology that one would just have difficulty 35, 40 years ago, we never would have thought that there it was. I've observed intensive care rooms and operating rooms where surgical procedures were being done technologically by robots. I've been in Germany and I have seen robots helping to make fancy jewelry, the kind that my wife would love to have, but she knew when she said for better or worse that she wouldn't get it from me, that it just would not be forthcoming. But I've seen this kind of technology. I mean, I've seen people push buttons. As a matter of fact, I traveled with a friend of mine to China to open a factory, a plant that he was involved in. And I'm getting there and I'm looking for all these people who are going to be employed and all the work and all of this. And it looked like we were at one of the football games at night. We had a provincial governor there, and I asked him how many people did he represent, and he said 60 million. And I'm waiting. We go inside to kick things off. We walk in, he push a button, and things started to twirl a little bit and turn, and I'm still looking for all of the people that he needed to operate this great big plant. I said, well, where are they? He said, there they are. The guy who pushed the button on that end and the guy who's down at the other end. Technology. I thank all of you for assembling and coming together. I represent something called a congressional district, which in our country is 700,000 people, more or less. And it just happens that the one that I represent is the most fascinating piece of geography in North America that has been put together into one of those. And I say that because I represent more hospitals than any other congressional district in North America. 4 medical schools, so you could imagine more colleges and universities than many entire states. The futures industry, you know, the guys sit down and figure out how to move products with just almost a wink of the eye now. You know, they blink real hard and you move $2 or $3 million worth of something. That's what technology really is. That's what technology can do. And yes, I heard Mr. Hyde talk about what they pay for energy in Jamaica. Well, I don't know if we pay that much, but I know that when I get my gas bill during the wintertime, and it's $500, $600, I get the feeling that we are somehow paying too much. And if there are any people's energy people here, well, you know, I understand. But I can tell you every time I have to shell out $500, $600 for my month's winter heating bill, I'm looking for something else. Please, Lord, put some pounds on the top of my house or something that can reduce this responsibility. I know that you're capable of doing that. I was driving through the countryside the other day and I must have observed at least 500 windmills creating energy. I've traveled, I don't like water too much, no point in me. The only thing I like about water is generally taking a shower. You get more than that, I'm not excited about it. But I've seen the sources of energy being created by water. That what we are doing hydraulically. And all of that just tells me that everything that our world has become we really ain't seen nothing yet. That the best is yet to come. You are the purveyors of that best yet to come. So those of you who've come from far away, I welcome you to the greatest city in the United States of America, and perhaps the greatest city in the world. Give me Paris and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, they're all great, but none of them are quite like the city of the big shoulders. The city of Chicago, sitting on a nice-sized little lake with a whole lot of folks who just love people and love to see you here with us, love to have you visit. Don't be like Councilor Hyde. Always know that you can do more than 3 minutes and still come back. So thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you so much for coming today. We're so honored to have you. You know, we live in a time when we are inspired to look back at how we can capture energy. We're in a time when we are challenged all over the world, and economies are suffering. And so we look to those natural resources that the Lord has blessed us with since time immemorial. We look to the sun that rises every day faithfully, thank God. We look to the wind that blows and the water that flows. And it's just that simple. With emerging technologies, with those technologies that were inspired many, many decades ago, and a resurgence of some of those same technologies, we can capture all that the Lord has blessed us with in the first place. I'd like to, we're still having a little bit of technical difficulty with the slides, so I'm going to change the order just a little bit. And they're still trying to get it together, but we're gonna keep on moving here. I'd like to ask State Representative Litesa Wallace, who drove all the way in from Rockford to be with us today, to please come and give us a few words.
Good afternoon. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. I know it's lunchtime and you have spent your day and will for most of the rest of your week learning about innovation, but it's okay to say good afternoon. As Mr. Fisher pointed out, I did drive in from Rockford today. I'm so honored and really happy to be here on an afternoon as beautiful as this. Driving in, we got to see all of the construction, all of the individuals who are back at work because of so many very needed federal and state capital projects. I guess I just really want to talk really briefly, since we just have a moment, and I know the slides may start working in any second, about my commitment to renewable energy. I now represent a district that is actually leading the way in many ways. I think sometimes we forget in the state of Illinois that if you just go a little bit further west, there is another little city, and that's Rockford. And that place is actually becoming a hub for aerospace technology. And our airport, the Chicago Rockford International Airport, is home to one of the very largest solar array systems in the nation. So we have made certain concessions and have put forth the effort to make sure that renewable and green energy, sustainable technologies are going to be part of our children's lives, the lives of our great-grandchildren, and actually hopefully put back to work many of the individuals who've been impacted by our economy. I also stand here today as a former educator. I have a doctorate in educational psychology, and some of the graduate assistant research that I got to do was focused on how do we engage students, 4th, 5th, 6th graders, mostly dealing with middle school children. How do we engage them in scientific learning? So this is actually kind of a culmination. It couldn't be a more perfect event for me to be able to speak at, given the fact that I can be part of this wonderful launch that focuses not just on public sector work or private sector work, but also on how those two entities impact and can interact with the academic community. I believe that is so important. So thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. And I'll just briefly close with a quick quote. I mean, it was once said that when it comes to renewable energy, America should not be second best. I believe that when it comes to renewable energy, I'll put this back on my state, Illinois should not be second best. We need to make sure that we are putting forth the effort, whether it be resources, whether it be manpower, to move our state and our nation forward. And to that end, actually, someone mentioned putting some solar panels on their house. The Congressman mentioned that. There are some opportunities for that, actually. There's some grants that the Illinois Department of Economic Commerce has available for homeowners, for business owners, for nonprofit organizations. So I do see that the state is moving forward in this effort, and it is so wonderful to be part of a collaboration that is international. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Representative Wallace. I'd like to ask briefly to have Mr. Michael Garvin come, who is the director of the E.E.T.E.M program, and he will be followed by Tom Rietz, professor of finance at the College of Business at the University of Iowa, to talk about E.E.T.E.M. Michael Garvin is also a co-founder and vice president of technology for the R.E.A.C.H Consortium. Mr. Garvin? So, Control L. Control L will do it. I think we're just going down. Yeah, just flip down here on the arrow down.
Okay. Thank you for having me here today. I certainly appreciate this opportunity, and I will be as brief as I can, because the real meat of the matter is going to be presented by Dr. Thomas Rietz from the University of Iowa. So the E.E.T.E.M program emerged out of a discussion with Mohammad, Shahidehpour, myself, Phil, and Dr. Rietz, because in the University of Iowa, which is that state to the west of us, as you know, and if you know how many Chicago kids come to the University of Iowa, we call it University of Iowa, or Way Western Illinois State University. So it's nice to be in your neck of the woods instead of mine. So the University of Iowa, some 20-some years ago, started a predictive futures trading market. Isn't that unique? It's the only university in the world that has such a unique trading market. You might have seen that with campaign and election futures markets. You'd see it in, they did markets on flu a few years ago. They've done a number of futures markets over the last 2 decades. And so Tom Rietz was an associate of mine. I was an adjunct professor at the University of Iowa for a number of years. And Tom and I started talking about, why can't we leverage the power of an electronic market, real money, real time, to identify those technologies that are taking me months. I'm a technology transfer specialist, formerly of the University of Iowa, worked with Texas A&M, University of Texas, now adjunct professor here at IIT. And the problem was it took so long to identify those emerging technologies, and if they're garage-based technologies, we may never see them if they don't get up to commercial grade. So why can't we identify those from around the world, China, India, Australia, Germany, England, wherever it goes? So it was very important to look at the predictive model, predictive futures market at the University of Iowa, and it just clicked. It just clicked. We goes, wow, we can get to the best and the brightest of the world, 200 corporations and institutions as listed off by Dr. Arrington, to have them place futures contracts on questions that we are needing to solve. How do we reduce the air emissions out of coal-fired power plants? How do we deal with the flare gas problems of the Bakken oil without compromising the air quality for the citizens of North Dakota? How do we create economic development jobs, as I'll talk about here with this system that I've got set up, that is going to go to Liberia to help save lives by preserving and refrigerating vaccines, off-grid, no grid necessary. So we need to answer those questions. So this was key to get this far. So Dr. Rietz will be talking about trading teams that are given funds that come through corporate grants. So I'll be talking with you corporations to support this. Whether it's ComEd or S&C or Boeing or whoever it might be, we want to come together to support this effort, to provide these trading teams with funds, real dollars, because statistics show, studies show that if you just put out a survey and say what's the best and the brightest, far different results than if you say, here's $500, you only have $500, don't waste it. Do your due diligence, Harvard. Do your due diligence, Stanford College of Engineering. Do your due diligence, Central Technology Institute of China. Do your due diligence. At the end of the year, we will report who the winners were and who are not so lucky, not so fortunate, or maybe not so successful. Corporate consulting member research teams will submit proposed emerging technology questions, and Tom Rietz will talk about those questions. They have to have a definite time and point that they will be answered by a third-party, credible, verifiable information. So Dr. Rietz will talk about the Bakkens and the flare wells, 3,500 flare wells burning. We don't need that. If we took all the flare wells in the United States and put them into electrical generation, it'd be 5 to 10% of our national need. Why aren't we using that? Well, I'll tell you, it's a technological problem. They'll bend your ear and say, the flare gas is dirty. We can't run it through General Electric generators. We have to clean it. It's too expensive. Well, guess what? We're this close to solving that problem, and it's a Chicago firm that's solving it. Very Own Energy is well on its way. New generation power is well on its way to solving that problem. You'll be reading about it very soon. Questions like, what do we do for the vaccine in Liberia and Sierra Leone? People are dying over there. Can't we do something? Yeah, we're sending vaccine, which spoils within 2 weeks because they don't have refrigeration. Why don't they have refrigeration? Because they don't have electricity. I'm going to show you here a system that costs less than $2,000 that can equip every clinic in Africa, provide refrigeration, provide fans, ventilation, lighting, charging phones, charging computers. We can save lives, tens of thousands of lives, and we'll show you that just in a second. McKinsey report came out a year ago and that said, folks, globally we have a challenge. We're going to need $57 trillion of investment. I'll tell you what, I know where that investment is. I run investment raises for big companies in Chicago, New York, and in Singapore. I know where the money is. You know why they're not coming into the market? They don't trust the technology. If E.E.T.E.M can find the technologies that the financing groups will support, we will bring a lot of money out. Just in next week, we should fund about $2.5 billion of Chicago corporation initiatives. $2.5 billion in 1 week. We're doing that because the technologies are emerging. If we can find those technologies, such as this one, have somebody like S&C Electric manufacture these in Chicago, we can put hundreds of thousands of these around the world. So with that, I want to introduce the new technologies. Before the questions and answers, I will show this system here, but I want to introduce Tom Rietz. Tom Rietz will explain the electronic markets. He's professor of finance and the Leonard Hadley Research Fellow at the Tippie College of Business at the University of Iowa, director of the MBA Finance Career Academy. And may I tell you that Financial Times has voted this department the 6th best in the world. So that's why we're working with them. He's a member of the Iowa Electronics Market Steering Committee. He's got his PhD from economics at the University of Iowa with Northwestern University faculty from 1998 to 1988 to 1993. So I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Thomas Rietz.
When do you want me to do that? Okay, I was asked to be brief. I'll try to do that. You know, my wife was actually shocked that I was coming out to talk to an electrical engineering group. Then she said, well, you know, bring me back some jewels. Yes, yes. What I want to talk to you about very, very briefly is a little predictive mechanism that we've been running at the University of Iowa for about 25 years called a prediction market. We started running this to try and aggregate diverse sources of information. It has become what is effectively a communication and information aggregation tool. We started this with political markets, and that's what our biggest area is, but we've also done this in a variety of different ways. All we do is we take a futures contract. Now, not a contract for oil, but as you know, a contract for oil does tell you something about the likely future price of oil. What we do is we design a contract that maximizes the information value of the price of the futures contract by tying it directly to some event of interest in the future. Our biggest event of interest has been political markets. Who's going to win the next election? What kind of a share of vote will they get? So when Obama ran against Romney, we had contracts that said if you own this contract, after the election and Romney wins, you'll get $1. If you own another contract and Obama wins, you'll get $1. What happens is that contract can trade among people that might disagree over who's going to win. And ultimately, the price that they set tells you sort of an aggregate of their expectations about who's going to win. And it does it in a very, very interesting and sophisticated way through the price discovery process. We've been very good at predicting election outcomes over the 25 plus years that we've been doing this, but we've also expanded it to predict federal funds rates, economic indicators like consumer price indexes, stock prices, returns, corporate earnings, movie box office takes, where hurricanes will strike land, the values of initial public offerings, and the one that's most similar to what we're proposing today, the outbreaks of influenza. It is a market that's very similar to what we're going to talk about today, a private market where we go out and we try and identify people that have information. In this case, what we'll be looking at is identifying people that have information. Did I just go through two there? I think so. There we go. What we want to do is we want to invite people that have information about potential new energy technologies to trade in the market. Give them an account, allow them to buy and sell futures contracts where we tie the value of the futures contract to some emerging energy technology question of interest. I'll give you an example here in a couple of minutes. We'll run an exchange, the background, that buys and sells, trades these contracts between traders. We'll allow traders to actually turn their dollars into contracts as they see fit, buy and sell them as they see fit. The market provides a mechanism to share information, to aggregate information, for communication, provides an incentive to interest students in trading, interest students in topics related to the energy technology, and provides them an incentive to create information, because the better information you have, the more valuable your trading becomes. The markets provide feedback to us and the traders about what technologies may or may not succeed. The market filters out biases. People who are very biased tend to buy something or sell something and then stop trading. And it makes the accounts of people that are good at forecasting better, higher, larger, so they have more power in the market to set the price. And the people that aren't very good at forecasting, well, they lose money and they don't end up setting prices anymore. So what we thought we could do is identify through the R.E.A.C.H Consortium, guest trading teams is what we're looking at now, that have information about energy technologies, allow them to buy and sell contracts in the market on questions of interest. Here is the most difficult and challenging part for us. We need to find questions where we can get a market together that will interest traders. We need short horizons, a year, maybe two. We need well-defined outcomes. How do you determine if somebody wins an election is easy. How do you determine if an energy technology is successful is a little bit more challenging. We'd like to find questions that are economically important and meaningful to people that are trying to get electricity more cheaply in the Virgin Islands, or create solutions to pollution problems, like in North Dakota that we'll talk about in a second, where information is dispersed and we need a way to communicate and aggregate that information. We'll use the market to do that. Where there's some information flow out there. If there's no information out in the world, we can't aggregate it very well. Okay. And we need something that's of interest to traders. We need something that will capture their attention, that they'll want to try and buy and sell futures contracts on. This turns out to be the biggest challenge. One of the things we hope is that folks that are involved will suggest ideas for questions, and then we can work through a whole list to see what few actually work very well as a market for predictive technology. Okay, the first one we've come up with is the Bakken oil fields. One of the big questions is how we reduce all the flare gas. You can see in the picture that that's about the size of Dallas-Fort Worth up there. Okay. We know that there's a lot of competing technologies, and the Department of Minerals and Resources in North Dakota has put a mandate on that all new wells have a gas capture technology. The question will be what works. Of course, you can always attach to a pipeline, but there's a variety of other competing technologies that may solve the problem. So our first goal is to put together a prototype market, and we're proposing a one-year proof of concept that will run futures contracts based upon whether we can solve this problem, and if so, how. And then if we get long-run funding, we propose to continue running markets in various other areas of interest. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that folks have, but I've been told the time is up, and we will go from here, right, Phil?
Thank you. We're going to take some questions afterwards.
Thank you so much. So we're going to, because we're running over, and I apologize to the next session and to those of you who have been waiting for the next session, we're going to take questions independently to the side if you'd like to meet us in the hall afterwards. Mike Garvin has a demonstration there that I don't know if we have time to run, but
I'll just tell you real briefly, one of the first things that we're going to try to solve, because it's been asked by us by the Gates Foundation of the World Health Organization, is to get refrigeration into villages where there are clinics dealing with the Ebola outbreak. And we have worked a year on this. It'll come through R.E.A.C.H. Delegations will be going to Sierra Leone, Liberia. They will be going to Haiti on a whole other thing. This technology that we spec'd out, it's a 1 kilowatt solar and storage unit. You're seeing right now is this is all run off grid. This is run off grid, including the refrigeration for the vaccine, ventilation, lights, charging for iPhone or for smartphones, charging for computers. Guess what? This is ice. You know how important that is to a person with raging fever in Liberia? That is ice. And that was made by solar. And this little unit here, this whole package comes in at less than $2,000 per clinic. $2,000 per clinic. You can put that picture up of those children. $2,000 of saving kids that are suffering from Ebola. It's time to take action and do the right thing and find the right.
sorry, it's in the wrong, it's in the other set. I apologize.
That we can save lives, tens of thousands of lives. So come with us on this journey. Come with us and become corporate sponsors of R.E.A.C.H. and E.E.T.E.M. Come with us, you universities, and get trading teams, corporations, same with your R&D systems. We want you to join us. There'll be information on a table about how you can do that or how you can reach us. Phil, myself, Mohammad, Shahidehpour, and we thank you for today's session.
Say this about the Congressman. Thank you, Mike. One last comment. The Congressman is convening BioJam trade mission to Jamaica. That's November 24th through 26th. We want to thank Christian Strong for putting together the elements of that, and we're going to be joining them to go to Jamaica to meet with the university as well as to work on the country's energy needs. Thank you.
Let's build a future for these people. All off grid. All off grid.
I'd like to thank the presenters. It was a very emotional presentation. The next session is called Center for Smart Grid Applications Research and Technology. Here at IIT yesterday we had a ribbon cutting and we had distinguished guests from the federal and state level who helped us initiate this event, and the whole plenary session starting now will be dedicated to discussion as to how this technology works and what are the advantages for various microgrids. Carol Bertucci is the chair of the session. I'd like her to come up here along with all the presenters. Thanks.
Tom did a nice job. Oh, my garlic.